What's up, everybody? Stacking Surfer, your favorite precious metal stacker, back with another awesome video from the beach. I'm here at Newport Beach today. Today we're going to talk about silver. We're going to talk about why I think silver is one of the best investments you can make right now, especially in the precious metal space, but also in general. And we're going to talk about the risks of silver. How long may it take having to hold this to have a pop in it? And should it be something you invest in, or should it be something that you hold and you just buy because it's real money? We're going to cover all of that. We'll even talk a little bit about silver mining stocks as well. So stick around and this will be fun. Hit it. Stacking Surfer. I think I'm your best friend. Balances in your bank instead. When I started my channel, even before I started my channel, when I started stacking, I did first get silver from my dad. I got these really cool 25-ounce silver bars, and I had no idea what they were worth. Either did he, to be honest. And I got them for 3 different years in a row for my birthday, and then all of a sudden I looked them up to see what their value was, because I had no idea if I was getting a good gift or a paperweight. And when I found out that people were listing these for $1,000 to $1,500 on eBay, this is going back like 2 years ago, they may be going for more today. And I saw those and I was like, holy moly. And I showed my dad. And the next year, I did not get another bar. I ended up getting a $100 check. So I was kind of bummed about that. And he ended up holding the rest of them. And, maybe they'll be inheritance someday. So first lesson of the day is be careful who you tell that you have silver and what the value is, especially the person giving it to you. So be careful, guys. All right. But what it taught me was a good lesson, which was I need to do research. I need to figure out what these things are worth. I need to understand what I have. And that was something that I did not know when I started out. Now, I didn't immediately start stacking, but I started going to YouTube and learning a little bit more about it. And I started to look for other information that would help me become more educated. In the process of doing that, I could see that we were starting to get into a high inflationary time. This is going back to 2021. I could see that the Fed and Congress had issued a lot of new money printing. And technically that's really done with digits. It's not really done in a printer anymore. But all that money was coming in. And we also had a situation where all this stimulus had just come in too. And so people were just throwing a lot of money at different things. They were paying some of their debt off and they were saving more. But a lot of people were putting it into speculative things. We saw watches go crazy high. We saw comic books go crazy high. We just saw a lot of stuff that had speculation go really high, including Bitcoin. And, so the interesting thing that happened there was the money finds a home, okay? But when I started seeing that happening, what I also realized is that it's going to cause inflation, and my stuff's going to get way more expensive. So one of the things I did that I ended up being one of my best decisions is I went to Costco and bought a lot of stuff that I knew I would use over the next year to 2 years. So a lot of supply things. And what was great about that is I ended up saving about 20 to 25% because that's about what the cost went up on. So by me doing that, it was buying goods from Costco basically was like an investment of 25%. And, that lasted until we used up those products, and we've gone on. So when I saw the inflation kicking in around that time too, I decided, hey, gold is an inflation hedge. Let's go after gold. So I started going after the gold. I started buying that up. And I really thought these people are crazy going after silver. It hasn't moved in the price. It's not really known as a inflation hedge very much. It technically is, but it's not really the metal that you think of when you think of inflation hedges. It's also not the metal you think of when you're trying to protect wealth. You think of gold. And that's because that's what gold's function has really been. Silver's always been more of the monetary metal that's just been part of our money for a long time until 1965. And we didn't use it anymore. So anyway, with that said, I started doing a lot of research and I started seeing there's a lot more silver channels out there. There's a lot more people talking about silver than gold. And I think that has to do with the function of the price of gold versus silver. Many more of us can afford silver than we can gold. And, we can all probably get behind about an ounce a month of silver. Some of us may be struggling to get there a little bit, and if you are, I would say see if you can pick up any extra hours. See if you can sell stuff you don't need anymore in your house to pick some silver up. But for the average person, you can pick up 1 or more ounces of silver a month. However, the average person cannot pick up 1 or more ounces of gold a month. That is definitely a lot more expensive, especially now that we're getting close to $3,000. I'm starting to feel that. When I started picking up gold, it was at $1,700, and I still felt like it was super expensive. Now I feel like it's insanely expensive. My wages have not gone up in that time period. If anything, I've had a 20% pay cut, and with that inflation going up 20%, that is why the gold is higher. So, I'm feeling that, and it's not something I can totally keep up with. So anyway, silver is where I'm starting to look more at, and I've been doing a lot of research around it. And what I'm seeing with silver is huge potential, guys. First off, number one, we're seeing a massive 40-year cup and handle for silver, okay? The Hunt brothers manipulated silver to get it up to 50. It wouldn't have done that without them. So I really don't look at that as being the top. And so we're nowhere near the top. That's nominally, right? We got to get to 50 just to have a nominal top. We've got to get closer to, I think it's $130 an ounce. I think that's the number, to get to the all-time high of what they did. So we're still very far away from that. The average ratio for gold to silver is 40. We're at about 85 right now, and I do think there's some settings or scenarios that are going to get us to over 100 again. And I just covered that off on another video, so check that one out. But basically, I think we're going to start running into situations here where silver is going to have so much pent-up demand that it has so much potential to go much higher. So what am I looking at? I have been buying as much constitutional silver as I can get my hands on at an affordable price. And I've been picking up dimes first, then quarters, and then half dollars. I want to get that fractional, and the smaller the size, the better for the fractional, in my opinion. Next, I've been trying to pick up as many silver eagles as I can at a good price. What I'm looking at is I'm trying to get the price good on those. If I can pick them up for, let's say, within about $5 of a silver round, that's my preference. That's what I'm going to go for. However, on the flip side, if it's getting into the $6, $7, $8 range, that's something that I'm definitely starting to go after some of the rounds. I do believe it's important to get as much weight as you can, but I also think it's important to go after these silver eagles. The reason for that is we could have some new laws being passed federally, just like they're being passed in different states, that is making the eagles, since they're the sovereign coin of the United States, tax exempt. So we may not see all this tax exempt stuff that the new returning president, Trump, is talking about. What we may actually see is small little chunks of taxes being given. So no taxes on tips, maybe no taxes on Social Security. Maybe another one of those may end up being no taxes on silver and gold eagles and buffaloes that are coming out of the United States. So I don't know for sure, but that's another reason to look at the eagles. Another reason they look nicer. And even when you get into bartering situations, people would prefer to have those. However, just know that when you go to sell these back to a coin shop, or if you do try to trade them for bartering, a lot of times people are going to look at spot price and say, hey, I'll give you spot price, or I'll give you a little bit of a premium on top of the spot price, or they'll give you a little bit of a discount on it. So it's important to look at that. If you're overpaying for some of these metals, know you need to hold on to them longer, okay? At the end of the day, I'm not really worried too much about how much I'm paying for stuff. It's more about the accumulation of how many ounces I'm getting. And so you say, well, Surfer, you just told us eagles are good. They are good, guys, but don't overpay for the eagles. That's what I'm telling you. So if you can get a silver round at $35 and an eagle's going for $41, you got to look at that. You got to make the decision on your own on which way you want to go. If you've got the money to buy the eagles, if you're very tight on things, just get the silver. Focus on getting the weight. I think we will see the ratio starting to go back down, okay? Now, what are the conditions that are going to cause that? I think it's going to be a silver squeeze of some kind where there's just not enough product for people to buy. And I think companies are going to, and very wealthy individuals are going to start stacking and moving into the market. And when they do that, they will start to affect the spot price. You and I probably can't do that on our own, But if you've got a billionaire that decides I want to buy $100 million of silver, it's going to make a change there, guys, especially in finding the physical. Okay, got to remind everybody that there's 409 fake ounces of silver or paper silver for every one. When someone decides they want the real physical stuff, there's not enough to go around. You try to spend a couple $1 billion and you buy the whole supply up. So if we start to see that break, I think we can see the ratio get back down to 40, and then I think we can see it go down to 20 if there's enough demand for it. You know, there's a capital rotation which seems to be the case right now, with silver breaking out of a 40-year cup and handle, and we're starting to see a capital rotation into precious metals. Now, with Trump coming into the presidency and talking big about cryptos and Bitcoin and equities and money printing, we may see that rotation delayed for a while. So don't be surprised if it looks like gold and silver go sideways for several months here. Eventually, people are going to understand what's really happening here. Central banks aren't switching. They're not going to go from gold over to Bitcoin right now. So, and now if you see that change, and that's another story, that'll be something we have to look at. Okay, so it comes out of the ground 1 to 10, 1 to 7, depending on who you talk to. So it is possible for it to go down to that ratio. That is biblically the number it's been at, okay? I think it was 1 to 7 most of the years during the Bible and in our history when there hasn't been this massive world market manipulation. Now, some people say we can get down to a 1-to-1 ratio, and others say we could even go the opposite direction where it might be 10 ounces of gold to 1 ounce of silver. Oh my goodness. So what I'm looking at here is if gold is sitting at, let's say it goes up a little higher, hypothetically $3,000 an ounce, and you've got silver sitting at $33 an ounce, okay? And that ratio starts to change. When you get down to that 1-to-1, all of a sudden your silver is now worth $3,000 an ounce. That is an insane return, okay, and increase. I'm buying silver for SHTF situations. I'm also buying a little bit of it as a speculation play. But if those numbers happen, that's going to be a game changer for me.